Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
It depends on what you want to do. I mean, if you want a career in anime specifically, then you want to live in Texas.
Or New York.
Not
New York. Not anymore, right?
Not so much.
Canada.
Canada, yeah, Vancouver is pretty busy.
Yeah.
Lovely place to live.
Cold and rainy. I was watching Gatchaman earlier when they were showing it in there. Question crossed my mind. Is there a difference between dubbing a series that, let's say, just came out and dubbing a series that may have been out for a while? Like with Funimation, like Dragon Ball was done initially in the 80s and then guys did it in the late 90s, for example.
I would say that the process, technically, of doing it, of dubbing it, is the same for the most part. The difference, I would probably say, is that it's a property that has been around longer and has acquired more of a fan base through like fan subs or what have you. It's you're going to run into much more criticism, perhaps, because they've had more time to be familiar with how they are used to seeing the series. So if there's any sort of changes, there's some fun message for those.
So redubs are more strict.
Right, that'd be my answer, Chris.
Well, from a production standpoint, at least at Funimation, I can say that there's a lot more scrutiny from the Japanese representatives, Japanese companies. If you have a show that's considered a legacy, then of course they're going to want final approval on casting, for example, where some other shows they don't care as much about that, and we can do it in-house. So they're a bit more strict with their very popular shows.
Yeah, if I just from the study you guys done on it and stuff, if I remember correctly, some of the first that you did was from a bit further back. Dragon Ball is from the 80s. Yu Hakusho was from the early 90s, and you guys dubbed it in the early 2000s. And Case Closed 96 and all that.
Yeah, and there are other shows like that would include Fullmetal Alchemist, One Piece. These are ones where they were really hands-on and wanted final say on casting based on the popularity of the show in Japan. Or Case Closed, Detective Conan would be another example of that. So.
Funny's had that. They get some, especially early on, they got such huge successful all over the world properties. So they had, I imagine, a lot of pressure on them, especially when they were just kind of like, point that out like the low end. I like, especially when they switched to doing an American-based cast. It's like, man, they had to learn on the job with some of the biggest properties in the world, which is a tall order. Anybody else want to chime in? No? Okay. All right. Great.
This is for Christina. All right, I've been following your work for as long as I can remember, and ever since I heard that you'd taken up directing on Skullgirls, I was like, well, Christina directing, that's amazing. Now, I'm guessing this is your first time doing this. Well, what was that like for you, transitioning from an actor to a director? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
A lot of it was because, like you said, I never did it before. So the first couple sessions, it was kind of like poking around in the dark, kind of trying to see what worked, what didn't work. I was really grateful to have the client in there at all times, always kind of guiding me to what they wanted the characters to sound like, exactly what was going on. And it became easier over time, and just kind of knowing what the actor was feeling. I like that song. Yeah, but in the end, I feel like it's kind of like acting, but the pressure is off because somebody else has all the pressure on them, the actor. So I really enjoyed it, and I hope I get to do more of it.
I can tell you from first-hand experience, I had the pleasure of being directed by Christina B, and there's a lot of physical abuse involved. Beat you or yeah, it's something she doesn't like, so.
But yeah, you like that. Yes?
There were other hands.
Did you have a question? No?
For Kyle, for one question, you say you do Kazuya for Tekken Bloodvein, but not Kazuya for Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Right.
So you're going to do Ryu for Street Fighter Cross Tekken?
Yes.
Only. Figures.
That's all I can say.
Oh. That's different. Right. Christina?
Awkward experience?
Sure. Or funny.
Perhaps the spanking.
It wasn't really, it was kind of, not really awkward. Never mind. It wasn't funny either.
You had to sign an NDA.
Self-censoring.
Weird, like accents, maybe some noises or something.
Sure. I mean,
Oh, what? No,
no,
you said
no,
I'm
no, I
first.
don't want to hijack this thing. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Fine. One that comes to mind, I was working on a Marvel Comics project, and it was like Captain America versus the Extremists, and Indian accents and Afghanistan and stuff like that, anything in that sort of ballpark, I'd sometimes stumble with a little bit. And like, I couldn't pronounce the vowel and the U, like, you know, you are not the one or something like that, and it kept coming out as like Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory. So I got Monty Manella, who's a fantastic director, but man, is she strict. She was just kind of like yelling like, look at my mouth, look how I'm pronouncing, you know, like, and it was one of those things. One other quick one is a story I'm really fond of, like an awkward but really funny one was at Funimation. I was doing my first general audition with them, and it was the script Chris Sabat was having me use was from Blue Gender. Some of you guys might remember that one.
Yeah.
And even though the part for Yuji Kaito had already gone to Eric Johnson at the time, he was using those sides audition scripts called aside, to see what I could do. So like, hey, John, go ahead. And that's sad. And even though in the series Yuji is just like, why did they wake me up in this way? He's so whiny. Like the script is just like, die, you bastards, you're dead, you're all dead. You know? And Chris is like, holy crap, what? That sounds a lot like Tension Han, like John Bergman's Tension Han. I'm like, really? Chaozu, get down from there! Try beam! He's like, holy crap. Mr. Bergman, could you come in here for a second? Hey, Chris, what are you doing? Relax, it's pretty funny. John Bergman comes in, he's like, yeah, you want to see me, Chris? Yeah, you will no longer be needing your services. We have found a John Bergman stunt double. Chaozu, get down from here! He like, plays the thing back, and like a pimp, Bergman is just... Loser, is what right? And he just walks out the door, pokes his head back in. If you need me, I'll be working on my resume. Might be why he didn't give me the writing gig back in the day. That's mine. Anybody else?
I got one. You had mentioned Gatchaman. I don't know if you guys are aware that for years there has been or G-Force or whatever you call it.
G-Force.
Yeah, all of the above.
Aware.
That for years now there has been a very expensive big screen version of that you can find trailers for online, and I'm all over it. I went in and I think I recorded about 6 voices for that production. I really hope it sees the light of day. But anyway, there were 3 delegate roles that they were casting for. There was the Australian delegate, the Eastern European delegate, and the Japanese delegate. And I read for all of them, and I thought, I can do spot on Australian and Eastern European. It's going to be one of those. And no, of course, they cast me as the Asian delegate. And, I went into it, and I did all the other roles, which were a lot of fun. I got to be, bad guys and the good guy's dad and all of that stuff. And then it came time to do the delegate role. And the clients were there, in the back behind the director. And, I lived through the PC 90s. I grew up in Berkeley. It's like, you just don't do these kinds of racially insensitive impressions in front of people. And so the director said, okay, do it. And I did it, and I just did it straight. Like, run through the audition. And I did again a little more, and it was still not right. And no, dude, in the audition, okay, just do it. And I'm looking, and the clients are back, and we're talking to each other. It's like, oh, I know they are. And finally, and I just would not do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. And then the clients are laughing, and the director comes out, and he goes, dude, they don't care. Just do it. And I did, and it was fine. But it was all
Oh, yeah, but mine wasn't
my experience isn't anime related, but it's okay. Well, it has to do with penguins. So I was working on an animation where I played 2 little boy penguins, but they also spoke in alien language. That was, and I had to yap for 2 hours in different emotions. So basically, the whole session was me just going, okay, now do that sad. And now happy. You know, and so the whole session was that, but by the end, I just didn't know what I was saying anymore. And so you asked about funny noises, and that one came up. So
I have an awkward fun moment. Like every time I went into the booth to record, it was awkward and fun at the same time. Because I, being the voice that I am, don't get to play females. But for the entire series of Lucky Star, I did. Like every minor female character, I was that female. Because they didn't realize when they cast me that the person who originally played it was a female. They thought it was a male voiceover actor because she has a really low voice. But yet it was not made for a male, it was made for a female. And so every time I went in there, it was fun being able to play a waitress and a bus driver and a tour conductor and all that other stuff. But it was awkward at the same time.
You mean were you like that girl at the booth that when you go to the comic convention, you're like, hi, you want to buy that? She's like, no, thank you.
I'm sure I probably was.
Actually, that sounds familiar. I was reading up on his profile the other day. So
Were you hot?